All right, well, welcome to the Best Insurance Now features since 2020. My name is Sherry Carruth. I'm a senior solution consultant with Guidewire, but prior to coming to the company, I spent 14 years on the carrier side with a primary focus on commercial lines, farm and agribusiness underwriting, and product development. With me today, I have my magnificent, esteemed colleague who also may happen to be my boss, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Sherry. I'll give you a little extra star in the next review. My name is Zach Collings, and I lead our team of solution consultants focused on InsuranceNow. Been part of the broader InsuranceNow community here for almost 10 years, so it's great to see so many familiar faces here at the conference.
All right, by a show of hands, how many people have this slide memorized? All right, well, if you're not Tom or this person back here, just as a reminder, even though we are actually talking about features that have been previously released, we are going to talk about a couple of future forward-facing items, so those are subject to our safe harbor statements. So as you can see here, we've got a packed agenda. And in our session today, we are going to be covering all areas of the platform, from digital and core to data and analytics. Now, as you can imagine, there's a lot of features that have been released in those areas. We're going to do our best to touch on some of the best features. However, we're only going to be able to demonstrate a few of those in our short time with you today. But before we go ahead and talk about features that we've already released, we wanted to just make sure, remind you of some of the key themes that we'll be looking for in the long term. So when we talk long term, we're talking about 2-year time frame. These are rolling themes, so as one theme gets completed, a new one may roll on. So just a high-level overview of these: expand on line of business content. How many of you have heard of InsuranceNow Go products? All right, for those of you that haven't, these are pre-packaged lines of business that help you get to market up to twice as fast. The next generation cloud platform, I'm sure most of you just came from the GWC talk that we just had. If you have any additional questions, don't ask me. We've got Ben and Richard both that can help you with any of those outstanding questions. And then embedded analytics. We're going to see a little bit of this today, but this is our initiative to embed more and more analytics directly into the InsuranceNow workflow to give you better insight of your data and help you with that decision-making process. Engaging experiences. This is everything about providing that modern digital experience to your users that is becoming increasingly expected in the insurance industry. We'll see a couple of those today as well. And then last but not least is marketplace ecosystem. This is an ongoing initiative to expand our network of partners for InsuranceNow applications to help you plug into those vendor solutions. If you'd like a list of the InsuranceNow partner ecosystem that we have currently, please go to marketplace.guidewire.com. I always get those backwards. All right, so for any of you that are new to Guidewire, the InsuranceNow product has been releasing on a 6-month cadence for many years now. What we're seeing on the screen here is just a sample of the features that have been released since beginning of 2020 that happens to coincide with our ski resort naming convention. Now, if you were in the earlier sessions, you also know that we have just released the 2022.2 FLEN. I pronounced it correctly, thank you. But if you didn't have the opportunity to attend the What's New in FLEN session earlier live, please watch out for that recording, the on-demand recording that'll become available after the conference. All right, on to some fun stuff. So what we've done is we've broken up this demonstration or our session today into the different functional areas. Now, on each one of the functional screens here, we've broken up the features into their associated releases. That way, it kind of helps you understand features and functionality that you might have available to you today and just not utilizing, or what you can look forward to in a next upgrade. So we're going to start out with digital, and we have 2 digital offerings. The self-service portal, which a lot of you are probably familiar with and potentially even using right now. It's been around for a long time, but for those of you that are not familiar, it's a mechanism for your insureds to actually go in and process insurance activities on their own. Things like make a payment, access policy documents, even report claims. But even though it's been around for a while, we're still consistently making upgrades and updates to it to enhance its capabilities, and we'll see some of that here in just a moment. The other portal that we have available that was released in BAMF, or 2020.2, was the Consumer Sales Portal. Now this is your way of tapping into that direct-to-consumer market, or sales channel. It's for brand new insureds, customers that have not been insureds of yours in the past, and in some cases, for your existing insureds. Right now, it's supporting personal auto and homeowners lines of business. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at a few of these items through a live demo. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the self-service portal designed for your existing insureds. Now, before we log in with a user ID and password, just wanted to point out that we have extended the capability to do a couple of what we call anonymous types of activities. So what that means is that the user does not have to have a user ID and password. If you're like me, you've got a million of them, you may not come into this portal very often, you may not want to either try to find your password again, or you just want to quickly get in and pay a bill or report a claim. But in our situation here, we have a login, and of course, I did not enter that incorrectly. I want to save it. Now, we're not going to have time to go over all the features and functionality of the portal here, but just as a quick high-level overview, this gives insureds access to pay their bills. They can get access to policy documentation. They can even upload documents to the policy file, claim file, and report a claim. Now, what we're going to take a look at today is actually in the profile area. If you notice here, we have two areas for a phone number or an email address for notifications. So what we've done is we've enabled business activity-driven outbound messaging to your insureds if they choose to opt in, either via email or SMS. So this allows you to still have that communication line open with your insureds without adding to your internal staff's workload. Let's go back to our home page. And we'll see here that we have a personal auto policy. But I also want to draw your attention over here to the Get a Quote tile. Now, this is that mechanism for your existing insureds to get their own quote on another line of business. We have a personal auto policy. They're extremely happy with our wonderful InsuranceNow customer carriers, and so they now want to go ahead and quote their homeowner's policy. We'll go ahead and get a quote, and we can select our product. It's checking availability, so it's making sure that the homeowner's product is available in their territory. It's really, really looking. All right, so good news. We can start a quote. Now, one of the key values of this integration between the two portals is the fact that it's going to take the information that it knows from the existing policy or customer record so that the insured doesn't have to re-enter a lot of this information. So if you notice here, my name, address, and contact info has been pre-filled. I can continue on to the next page. And we're going to be asked some property questions. Now, in my demo environment here, I'm going to hand enter the address because I want to show you a couple of capabilities. So I'll just copy that up there. Now, this could be defaulted to a mailing address if you wanted. And one more try here. Actually, I need to copy it. All right. So one thing I want to mention is that the portals are just an extension of the core. So they're utilizing the same rates, the same rules, and the same integrations that your core application is using. Here's an example of that with Google Places. So we're able to just pick our address here, and we'll see another one in just a moment, which is the address verification integration. So it's automatically verified that address. We'll go ahead and complete filling out the rest of the mandatory fields, which are denoted by the asterisks. And we will hit our construction, and we'll go ahead and click the next page. So what was that? 3, 4 pieces of information, and I have an initial quote. Now, a couple of things I wanted to mention here on this initial quote is we give the insured the ability to change their deductible, change their valuation method. Notice here it's pre-filled the coverage A limit. This is a California risk, so I don't think any of us in here would probably want to write a $75,000 California home, but this can be tied into an estimate or an estimation tool such as MSB, 360, or you can take advantage of the HazardHub integration, which provides those services as well. So we're going to stop at this point, not continue on, but I'll kind of explain to you the process. If the insured likes what they see in regards to this initial premium, they can click the Apply Now button, and it puts them into an application phase where they'll enter the additional information. They have opportunities to select optional coverages, and if you allow, they can even issue their policy on their own. Now, I do want to point out here that a direct-to-consumer sales channel does not necessarily mean that you have to remove the agent out of the entire transaction. There are ways to incorporate that through a couple of different means. We won't have time to talk about those today, but you can always ask us for more details. All right, let's go back to the presentation. And on to claims. So claims is an area that has received a lot of changes since the beginning of 2020. So in claims, we've mainly focused on adding additional ways to access information through new screens. We've had investment into improving workflows and tasks. We've even added items such as multiple injury tracking and negotiation tracking. So again, let's go ahead and take a look at those in another live demo. All right, so in this case, what we're going to do is we're jumping into a claim that's already in flight. One of the first things I want to point out to you as we land on the overview screen is this tile here called Key Performance Indicators. This is going to give me a visual representation of kind of the overall health of this claim so far. Great way for a new person trying to get familiar with the claim. I can see things like the days since the last activity has taken place, if it's in litigation, if there is SIU involved, and more. Now, if we jump down to the claimant screen, this is where we're going to see a couple of new enhancements. One is going to be the ability to track multiple injured body parts, and the other is adding those negotiation activities. So we'll go ahead and put this in an edit mode just because it's a little easier to see. And come down here. We see that there is an injury involved. And if we come down just a little bit more, here we've added the ability to indicate the severity of the injuries. We can have a full text description and even indicate if it's a specific injury or maybe a more occupational type of situation or multiple injuries. We can even indicate if it's just physical injuries or a combination of physical and psychological damages. Next, in the very aptly but a little bit morbidly named injured body parts, we have the ability to track all of the injuries specific to this claimant, giving you the ability to see the overall picture, see what the scope and severity of these damages can be versus just the one injury that we used to have. If we move down the screen, down to the bottom, we have the negotiation lines. Now, in the past, tracking those negotiation activities would be something that we could control in notes. But it's difficult to be able to find all of those items, especially if there's multiple claimants involved in a single claim. So what we've provided here is a negotiation tracking capability. So notice that we did an offer. We sent out an offer on the 21st for $5,000. Now we've received the response back, and we can document that. So we go in, add a new negotiation line, so we can indicate whether it's been accepted whether it was counteroffer, whether it was declined, etc. Giving you the ability to easily track that information in a single spot that's very easy to locate and add additional notes regarding those activities. All right, so let's go down to the claim file. So I'm coming here just to point out the fact that we've now received an auto repair estimate. And we can come down here, we reviewed it, we're good. We've approved it. That's not the new capability. But what I want to do now is I want to make a note about this. The new note is not the capability either, but let's go ahead and add a note that we've received the estimate and looks good. Here's the new feature. We can link an attachment to the note. So we're making a note about a document that we received. I can simply click Link Attachments, select which attachment I want to link, and save it. Now, once I actually post this note, in the policy file, when I look at the note, I have the link to the document that it is referring to. Similarly, if we go to the View Notes capabilities and we expand those, we're going to have the attachment link right here. Rather than having to go through the policy file and locate the document that we're making the note about. All right, in a similar fashion, if we come up to the financial area, and we want to now make a payment. So you might notice here that some of the fields in the Make a Payment screen have been reorganized to make the process a little more efficient. However, what I want to show you is we've added the linked attachments capability to payments as well. So I can, just like I did when I did a note, pick the auto repair estimate if I'm making a payment based off of that document and attach that to my payment. Works really well, especially if your adjusters are exceeding their authority on a payment and it needs to go to a supervisor for approval. The supervisor will have all of the information they need right at their fingertips. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to the presentation. All right, on to billing. So billing's also received some attention as well. And the work's been primarily focused around easier access to information through being able to access account screens through the customer billing list if you have authority to do so, accessing billing information from the policy. And we've also made changes to the change payment plan process as well. So again, let's go ahead and go to a live demo. All right, so we're going to go to the customer screen for our insured here and take a look at the billing list. Now, the billing list came about with the UI changes and is a mechanism that provides all the detailed information that somebody like a CSR or an agent would need in order to have a meaningful conversation with the insured about their billing accounts. But if I have the authority to access the billing account screens, I can directly access those right from my customer billing list. So here's our customer billing list. I didn't have to go and do a separate search. Notice here, we now have a change payment plan capability right from the billing screens. So from the billing screens, I can go ahead and do a change payment plan. But notice here, we're now populating the information, the same level of information that we're getting at the new business process in regards to what each payment plan means to the insured. If there's any amount due currently for this insured, it would show what would be due now if they changed that payment plan. It's also going to show the remaining installments and the amount per installment. So again, easy communication with your insurers to let them know what changing the payment plan is going to mean to them. All right, so let's go ahead and cancel out of that. Let's go to the policy itself. So we're going to enter in our policy number. And if I scroll down to the bottom, so again, I'm in the policy, and I have a billing screen here. So from the policy, I can access that billing information directly, and I also, once again, have the ability to change the payment plan. Now, the tried and true method of starting an endorsement transaction, going to the review screen, changing the payment plan there is still available. This is just another way that's maybe a little more efficient in making those changes. So let's go back to the presentation, and I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Collins.
All right. Thank you, Sherry. So, Sherry mentioned a common theme on the policy side has been the introduction of our prepackaged Go products. Starting prior to Aspen, we released homeowners, personal auto. Since then, we've added dwelling, personal umbrella, farm owners, and most recently with Flen, commercial auto. Now, we've also added new transaction types, usability improvements. Those are some of the things I'm going to talk about in the next few slides here. So I know 2.5 years later, we're all flat done with the word COVID, but I do want to take a few minutes to highlight our COVID-19 enhancement efforts because it's a great example of our customer community coming together with the various teams at Guidewire to solve urgent customer needs, in many cases related to state mandates. These included things like bulk holds or moratoriums on non-pay cancellation, as well as automated payments, bulk waivers for various types of fees, bulk credits and refunds for policyholders enduring hardship, and then guidance on allowing customers to spread payments outside the normal payment terms. Now, a couple years ago at this very conference, the inbox was a topic of discussion in the customer advisory group. And we received a lot of great feedback, some of which was related to capabilities already in InsuranceNow. So we brought those capabilities more front and center and made them more easily accessible through things like out-of-the-box views, the ability to search by task number, status, item name, things like that. Also now, supervisors can view tasks for their direct reports, similar to how it functions on the open work screen. And then finally, we added the concept of a task being overdue. Now, the ability to extend a policy expiration date without going through the renewal is available in InsuranceNow. So there's a new transaction type called extend policy. There are some limitations to this. You can't extend a policy during cancellation notice, for example. We received a lot of feedback, though, that this is particularly important for some types of surplus lines that are where the renewal is contingent on things that take a while to collect, thus wanting to extend the current policy term until that information is available to apply to the renewal. Before you accuse me of death by PowerPoint, let's take a little look into our new policy contacts feature, as well as how agents can complete e-signature of documents without having to leave InsuranceNow. So we're going to sign in here as an agent. Now, e-signature through OneSpan is nothing new for InsuranceNow. However, previously, an agent would have to leave InsuranceNow and go into the email address they have on file in order to complete this signing. Now, what they can do is go through, in this case, I'm going to access a new business application via task that was sent to me. And if I go to the e-signature tab here, we can see that this document, in this case, was signed already by the insured, and based on the template, that generated a task for the agent to sign, and they can now sign through a direct link available within InsuranceNow. So let's go ahead and complete this e-signature process. We'll follow the prompts to e-sign the disclosure. And now my 4-year-old son would be proud of this signature here, as would my doctor. And we'll complete it, confirm, and call this good. Now when we go back and refresh the signature tab, we can see the status has now been updated to signed for both parties, and a digital copy of the document reflecting both signatures has been dropped into our policy file. All right, now let's go over to a commercial policy. The new policy contacts enhancement feature allows customers to track contacts other than the insured, the agent, the additional interest that may still be valuable, particularly we found on commercial lines policies. So in this example, let's say we have an insured that owns multiple apartment complexes, and we already have noted contacts in both the accounting and claims department. Now you'll see we are outside the transaction. I can add contacts without having to do transaction. I can add them or delete them in a transaction too. But here, let's say we want to add someone for inspections. Maybe Olivia is the risk manager. I can copy her address information from the insured record. I can also input some basic contact info for her, including an email address. And I am going to specify her delivery preference is email. Note, if I had other contacts to add, I could do that one by one here without having to leave the screen. So let's save that. And then if I wanted to add any of these contacts, let's try that, to a new correspondence letter, they're now available as new recipients. And so you can see all three of them here. If I choose Olivia, you'll notice the delivery method automatically changes to her default preference of email, and I could send it from here. All right, let's go back to the presentation. All right, moving on to business intelligence. So with Aspen, we embedded Looker dashboards and reports directly into InsuranceNow, enabling role-based security around this content. Since then, we've continued to add additional content to our out-of-the-box collection, as well as increased the number of administrative activities, such as user management and publishing ad hoc reports that customers can achieve directly within the InsuranceNow UI. So to look at how users can interact with these dashboards and reports within InsuranceNow, let's go to another live demo. Okay, so every user can have their own landing page dashboard, and these dashboards are interactive, and they support all the same types of visualizations, charts, maps, tables, etc. That Looker does. Now we also have access to other dashboards and reports based on who we are. And I say based on who we are because, like many other things in InsuranceNow, it's what you can see and access is governed by role-based authority. So in this case, I am a super user, so I can access, and apologies for folks in the back, but we did warn you. It may be a little hard to look at, but there are a lot of reports here, take my word for it. And so if I wanted to go into, in this case, if I was a viewer, a user with a viewer license, that would allow me to open a report and update the filters, sort by the various columns. So in this case, maybe I want to look at, instead of open claims over 50,000, maybe I want to look at those that are over 75,000. And I can update the filter and run, and now we'll see that updated. I can also download this data to Excel as well as a number of other types of formats. Now for users with the Explore license, you can interact with the data in an even deeper way. So in this example, say I'm interested in take-up of a new deductible that I've got for homeowners, but I want to specifically look at it for a couple of key states. So I'm going to type here on the left and search for state, find my policy state. I'm going to add that to the table. I'm going to pivot, and then I want to filter and look at California and Florida specifically. And maybe I just care about my top 5. And now I can take a look at those results as well as the accompanying visualization. And if I like this and I want to publish it for others to use, first thing, I can save it. And just for ease of demo, I'm going to just call it New Business Counts by Deductible Homeowners 2 and save. And now, for users who have the appropriate administrative privileges, we can go to the Looker Reports Publish. And now, instead of relying on Guidewire, we can publish to the appropriate roles here through this menu. So again, increasing the number of those administrative activities previously requiring help from Guidewire. Okay, Studio continues to be the cornerstone of our efforts to empower non-developers to contribute to configuration and product maintenance. I'm going to talk about some of these capabilities in black on the coming slides, but I just briefly wanted to mention that Guidewire's Advanced Product Designer, or APD, currently in early access for integration with InsuranceNow in Dobson, is an ongoing joint effort to enhance our low-code capabilities. There have been several sessions on this. If you haven't seen them, they will be available on demand if you're interested. All right, so the product library feature allows customers to reuse already configured items from an existing library, such as products, subtypes, risk types, lines of business, and more. So in this example on the screen, say if a customer is interested in adding coverage for classic cars to their existing personal auto product, something my father, for one, would have been very appreciative of, they can look to the Guidewire Personal Auto Go product and see there's a number of different risk types available. Select classic car, and that will copy all the underlying coverages as well as the metadata associated with the relevant tiles and data fields. Now, previously, would have required a developer to first obtain the necessary reference product from Guidewire and then go through the potentially error-prone process of copying over all the XML configuration files and modifying them to work with the build-out. Now, most of that work is taken care of, leaving only resolution of references that couldn't be done automatically. Our new compliance editor, it allows business users who really understand the requirements best to specify statutory notice information. So this includes cancellation notice requirements for non-pay cancellation, insured requests for cancellation, company decisions to cancel, including the number of days required by a given version state. In addition, they can define templated reasons for cancellations and non-renewals. All right, now the provisioning portal, with this new provisioning portal, customers will be able to create instances of Studio as well as associated sandbox instance of InsuranceNow without, directly from their browser without having to install any local software. After receiving a link, users can select development branch that they wish to contribute to, associated InsuranceNow database, and complete their contact information to request an instance as shown in the screen here. Now, keep in mind, currently Guidewire Delivery Services manages this process, but it is our plan to eventually put it entirely in the hands of our customers. So at this point, user will receive an email containing the links to their sandbox instances of Studio and InsuranceNow, where they can make and test configuration changes. Keep in mind that this user contributing to configuration could be a customer user or a Guidewire user. Now, when changes are complete, users can submit a review request for a developer to consider. This produces an email for the developer to analyze and merge the changes as appropriate. We believe that the provisioning portal will further empower business analysts and free up IT resources for higher value-add activities such as code review and merging control. All right, for our final topic of the session, analytics has been a buzzword in the industry for a long time, and the buzzing has never been louder at Guidewire, frankly. While we are still early in our journey to embed Guidewire's broader portfolio of analytics products in InsuranceNow, I did want to highlight a few of the most recent capabilities just released in Flen, as well as give you a short preview into a near-term development. So with Flen, we are introducing HazardHub into InsuranceNow. Already a prominent brand in the industry, HazardHub is the source of the most comprehensive property data set available, with underlying data attributes and risk factors that are comprised from, look at my notes to get these numbers right, 123 million building permits, over 11 million fire hydrants, and over 55,000 fire stations, among other sources. So in the Flen release, customers can pre-fill key dwelling characteristics, as well as replacement costs to improve accuracy of their submissions, all through an easy-to-call API. And for a little peek into the future, with over 1,400 risk factors returned in under 2 seconds, HazardHub provides sophisticated scoring and analysis capabilities pretty much around all types of location property risk. So this dashboard is currently in development, and it will allow customers to uncover hidden risk factors that drive loss, as well as guide coverage decisions and quoting decisions to write more profitable business. Now, currently, HazardHub is helping over 170 customers make better underwriting and pricing decisions, and we couldn't be more excited to be able to make its capabilities easier to consume for our InsuranceNow customers. So I'd like to now close our session with a short demonstration of the new Underwriting Predict dashboard available in InsuranceNow. I'm going to sign in as an underwriter. And what we're going to see here is an example of how we can embed predictive analytics at the point of decision making in the underwriting workflow. Now, this particular model, this is a sample model that we've developed for demo purposes. It's only based on a few factors, but in your case, we would develop a custom model for each customer based on your historical data, and that could be built on a number of dozens of relevant factors. So let's say we have a business owner application here for Zach's Flower Shop, maybe perhaps a second career if I can ever retire from this one. And what we're given here is this is based on several different models looking at profitability, retention, and expense reduction. Now, depending on your lines of business and your interests, you may only want a subset of this, such as inspection contingency for homeowners. But what this displays here is a top message that is looking at the results of all the underlying models to focus the user on what's really important with the submission. In this case, a potential issue with retention. So if we go down here for expected loss ratio, we can see everything's green. And we're actually given a message that we can credit this up to 8% in order to retain the customer while staying within our target loss ratio range. On the other hand, we go to current binding, we see there's a probable loss of account warning message and a guidance to credit 7% is needed in order to retain this. So let's go ahead and credit this policy 7%. And by doing so, our top level message is green, and we are being told that it meets our expected profitability and retention goals. Now, and I should say, by the way, that all these messages you're seeing and the target loss ratios and things, those are all configurable to your specific business needs. In this example, we've given the user guidance on what to do, but some of the power of embedding the predictive analytics is being able to automate things on the back end. And that could be automatically ordering a third-party data report or automatically referring a new business or renewal application to a specific group. All right, thank you all.